As Minister LaGrange mentioned, after completing our review of current evidence, I am now recommending that non-medical masks be worn by staff, teachers, and students in grades 4 and above in Alberta. This means that when classes begin this fall, masks will be mandatory for students in grades 4 to 12 and all staff and teachers outside the classroom or when activities inside the classroom involve close interactions. This means that students in grades 4 through 12 will be required to wear masks while in common areas, outside the classroom, and on school buses. To be clear, masks are not required inside the classroom when students are seated and the teacher is distanced from the students, though they can still be worn if a student or teacher chooses. However, they are required in hallways and any shared places where students, staff, or teachers may not be able to maintain the recommended physical distancing requirements. This is similar to the approach being adopted in Ontario, Quebec, and Nova Scotia. It is an important measure to help minimize the risks of catching and spreading COVID-19. The question that many parents may have is why we are making that decision now. When Minister LaGrange announced on July 21st that in-person classes would resume this fall, I noted that my team was reviewing the current guidance, including evidence from jurisdictions around the world. Today's announcement is the result of that detailed review. Since day one, we have committed to acting on the best evidence available at any given time. This means not relying on any single study or jurisdiction's experience, but methodically assessing all the evidence available and then acting on that information. We know that masks can be an effective addition to reducing COVID-19 transmission when used properly. That is why I continue to strongly recommend that all Albertans wear masks in indoor spaces where distancing cannot be maintained, regardless of age. However, we also know that schools are unique settings where special measures are needed to mitigate the risks of exposure. There is growing evidence that wearing non-medical masks can interrupt transmission in public indoor spaces, including in school settings with older children. After reviewing the literature, I believe that requiring masks in all staff and in all children grades 4 and above is essential to limiting the spread within schools and protecting the health of everyone involved. Why are we using grade 4 as the cutoff? Because of emerging evidence that shows children who are 10 or older may be more likely to transmit COVID-19 than younger children. Also, they are further along in their development and so better able to wear masks appropriately and safely. Mask use in children up to grade 3 can be considered, but this is not mandatory. There has been a great deal of focus on masks lately, but it is important to remember that they are only one part of the public health approach put in place to protect schools. Masks alone do not keep kids and schools safe from COVID-19. Indeed, no single precaution or public health measure will eliminate all risks of exposure in schools or any other setting. Physical distancing, cohorting, frequent hand washing, enhanced cleaning, and changes to how classes and schools operate are equally as important in limiting the spread of the virus in schools. There is still no risk-free approach to living with COVID-19. As I've said before, we have no choice but to learn to live with it. Everyone in the school community will have to do their part and follow public health guidance to keep each other safe. Jurisdictions around the world are trying to determine the most effective way to resume schools. We will continue to watch their experiences closely and monitor our own. If needed, we will continue to update public health advice for schools based on best available evidence. This is part of living in the new normal of COVID-19. We must be agile, adaptive, and guided by the evidence as it emerges. This is the best way to protect the health, safety, and well-being of students, staff, families, and communities.